Hey guys, it's Adventure. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're looking at this monster. This is Virtavia's B36 Peacemaker. Now, the Peacemaker is a strategic bomber built by Convair in the 1940s, late 1940s. Between 1949 to 1959, it was the largest mass-produced piston engine aircraft ever built. Although, yes, exceeded in span and weight by the one-off Hughes Hercules. It has the longest wingspan of any combat aircraft, and it was capable of intercontinental flight without refueling. Now, as you see, it has many engines. 6 radial piston, and 4 jet. We'll talk about those in a second. But it was basically a design that traced back to 1941 and the entry of the United States to World War II. It was a conceived idea of a bomber that could reach Europe from bases in the USA. So a combat range of 5,700 miles was needed. Crazy, right? Yeah, Gander, Newfoundland to Berlin round trip. What a wild concept. But either way, that never happened, of course, and this was developed after the war as a strategic bomber. Now, the reason it has so many engines, it's so overpowered, is because it needed to be able to get up at full fuel with a full payload, most likely a nuclear bomb, as fast as possible in the case of a strike. So, looking at specifications of the J model, and this is a H, so this is just before this one, we had 6 Pratt & Whitney R4360 Wasp major engines, and those are 3,800 horsepower apiece, and 4 General Electric J47 turbojet engines, which had 5,200 foot-pounds of thrust each as well. Now, these were the engines that were in the F-86 Sabre. So there you go. Now, the Pratt & Whitney R4300s, I believe in terms of aircraft they were actually on, were used in the C-97s. They were used in the 377, the Stratocruiser. They get used in the C-119 boxcars. So Globemasters. They were used in a lot of aircraft. Martin Mars, very famously, had them too. The Hercules as well. So either way, without further ado, this is Virtavia's model. Obviously, there's a level of standard you get with Virtavia. This cost me £16 in the marketplace. Not a high price. It's VR ready with a control yoke latch on enabled for the left seat. WI sounds with piston and turbine sounds. We have detailed cockpit and animations. Startup and turbine smoke effects. 4K textures. Somewhat. Operating bomb doors, animated windshield wipers, and retractable turrets. Without further ado, let's go and take a look at this girl, shall we? So we'll get into the sim. We'll go third person first. Now we're here at Wrangell in Alaska. Not Alaska, sorry. We're here in British Columbia. Why? Well, I'll give you a few minutes before you tell me why. But I will give you a hint, in case you are curious. And that hint is 1950. You do the math. This is Alaska, not British Columbia still. But either way, it's just up the coast from the British Columbia border. And I'll say 1950. Answers in the comments, please. Tell me exactly why we're here and flying south towards Stewart. So textures aren't exactly that high res. They never have been from Virtavia. But it's not awful. It's big. It doesn't need to be that good, actually. In fact, if anything, being this big, it can get away with it a bit more. There's the air intakes on the radials. There's our jets on the pods. It's a big beast, isn't it? Got that bomb aimers area here in the nose. We've got no textures on them, but we have here under the cockpit the navigator and bomber, who are missing their heads, it seems. Oh, they've got it from that side, so it's saving on polys. But you can't really see them in here anyway. It's quite dark, but you can see figures in there. So honestly, kind of enough-ish. Now, from the exterior, the crew is also grey. This is an odd one, because in the exterior model, everything in the textures are grey. Now, this could be a hangover from its FSX version. It most likely is. But it's weird to see them grey. I'll give it that. Is this another position here? No, that's meant to be positions where they've got, of course, navigation, equipment, and ability to actually check the stars. Still a thing in this sort of era of aircraft. Now, most of the turrets are all remote. We'll go take a look at those now. So we'll go inside first. And the cockpit, we do have our opening windows here. Useful to have. And really cool just to see the layout of an aircraft like this in terms of its historical value. because they really aren't... Okay, that one doesn't open at all, I don't think. Okay, it does not. Close this for the time being. But we have our engineer station, and it's very busy up here. These do work, by the way. We'll be doing the startups in a second. And this will be stairs down here to the navigators, etc., and to the bombardiers and everything else. Someone's actually recreating one of these cockpits, by the way, as a project. It's a rather cool cockpit if you think about it. But I like the fact that all the stuff is actually functional. It could be better in terms of textures and modelling on the exterior. I think the interior is of an acceptable level. It's not bad. And what's cool is we have, relatively speaking, quite a lot of things that are working here. So this is our autopilot system down here. And yes, that's 6 full engines there. And back here, of course, all our engine systems. So we're going to go through our checklists and we're going to start up the aircraft and see what happens. So start engine 4. Before starting engines, battery switched on. That is here. Batteries are on. Okay. Altimeter is set. Parking brake is on. Navigation lights are on. Lever is confirmed down for gear. Bomb bays are closed. Prop switches are in safe. Or reverse is safe. They are safe. Yes, they're safe. Autopilot's off. Pitot heat's off. Anti-air switches off. Flight. They are light. Fantastic. Master fuel gauge is there. Okay, everything looking good. So, fuel valve 4 on. Engine throttle closed. It is closed. Oh, it's closed. Mixture to rich. Okay. That is as it should be. That's our throttles, so we just have those there. Ignition switched on. Is this my magneto? It is my magneto, so it's set to the magnetos for the ignition switch. And our starter to 4. That seemed simple. Oh, it seems to be cycling over and over. So we'll just go, you know what, I'm feeling lazy. We're just going to go ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da and see what happens. Bah! Well, this stopped working. That's awkward. They should be fine, because everything's technically on. Give it another kick there. I am kind of lazy. This does happen sometimes. I'm just getting stuck in a cycle loop here. Oh, and our jet started up there. Did I control it? Yes, I did. Oh, we're moving. That's awkward. Thought the parking brake was on. Well, the jets are actually functioning this time, so that's good. They're staying on. Fan-dabby-dozy. It's a review. You can take your time to play with it yourself. I suspect I make a mistake. It's more common than not. Usually when I've skipped something, all my controls are configured differently. Now, by the way, spoilers. Ha, literally. Whoop. Yes, this is how the turrets worked on this. They are retractable, and they came out of hatches. That's super cool, isn't it? That is so neat. Even down under the belly. That is super cool with the sliding panels. I never even knew that's how they worked. And whilst, yes, it's Virtavia, it's not the best quality in terms of everything else, I get to learn things I never knew. Like, get bristling with turrets. Even the nose has one that's retractable there. So obviously, if you're not facing any threats, you can be completely smooth and aerodynamic. And if you've got to throw down with some Ruskies, you can pop out all your turrets and you can go to town with remotely operated turrets. That is surprisingly neat, actually. I like that. It's nice to see them animated as well. Very nice. Right. Enough of me making a cack out of that. Let's go take off in this aeroplane and see exactly what mess I can get into. Now, flaps are meant to be 1 notch. And it should theoretically be done with just... or it can be done with just the pistons. go. Okay, this runway is big enough for us, so we'll go one notch on our flaps. This is a very big aeroplane. The biggest piston aircraft ever actually mass-produced. That's a lot of power behind this thing when I throttle up. Now we're going to go for a max takeoff climb and takeoff here, as if it was actually going on a bombing mission. Oh dear. Release. Okay, let's go. Whoo boy, here we go. She's moving quick. Oh, just coming up nicely. Oh, she absolutely peels off the runway. Pull back our props and our throttle straight away. This thing can overspeed at regular altitudes, by the way. So we need to... Oh, those sounds are actually quite meaty. Let's pull that gear up. Pull the flaps up. That's a big, big, big aeroplane. Look at this thing. She's heavy on the controls, I'll give it that. Give it a bit of trim. Not bad. Now yes, the thing I asked you to put in the comments, I'll give you a second clue. It makes certain things go click. So, why am I flying the very southern part of Alaska towards Stewart, British Columbia, which is the south of us? First clue, 1950. Second clue, it makes certain things go click. Answer in the comments. What am I referring to with the B36 Peacemaker? In 1950, that goes click. Or in this case, technically didn't go click, but that's not the point, it would have done. This is so big. This is actually a surprisingly interesting aeroplane to fly. Because we have this just monster of history. The very earliest strategic bomber. Or one of them. Of course, before the B-47 and the B-52. The legend that has become that's still in service. But this. Props and jets. To deliver nuclear payloads to Russia. The birth of Strategic Air Command. Truly a monstrous aeroplane. Let's see what those things look like when they come out in flight. Obviously, spoiler drag effects are down to 0 for this. There she is, bristling with guns. I don't think they animate, but they are cool to see there. That is actually surprisingly neat. I do like that. Again, is it an airplane I'll fly a lot? No, but it's an airplane I could see myself flying. This cockpit is more than tolerable. It's more than tolerable. Like, I would fly this. And if Virtavia makes a number of its older aircraft in this level of quality, I will actually be very satisfied. Because I want them to make a Blenheim. I want to see the Beaufort. I want to see a number of their other aircraft they've introduced in the old days, the Alpha Sim and the Virtavia days, brought back. I'll take a Wessex, please. And a Whirlwind. There's some great airplanes that we can truly actually appreciate and enjoy back again. That only they made. I still have the Hampton installed. The Hampton. I absolutely still have that because it's a good, with the best one we have, and it's the only one we've ever had. It's not good, but it's not terrible. The price, I think, is acceptable for what you're actually getting. You do get a reasonable amount of airplane. You get a lot of airplane in this case. It's definitely on the respectably acceptable level. I've seen far worse, especially interior-wise in 2020. Exteriors always lack, yes. There's some interesting choices in terms of the pilot and co-pilot and crew being grayed out in this, but I can see kind of why. You're ever going to get that close in third person to see them. Because this isn't third person. You can kind of see a shadow of them in there, but it's not impossible that it could just be the light, you know? So it's not impractical. Now, where's this airfield we're looking for? think it's down here under the clouds somewhere. Let's drop down and take a look. And yes, we're dropping down at about 250 miles an hour right now. This thing is moving. I think there's our island, but I'm going to be a little bit off track here. Oh no, that's us dead ahead. Runway in sight. Fantastic. We're going to head towards that runway now and get ourselves down. So let's burn off some speed here, which I don't think we're actually going to do. We're meant to do a 360 really quick. We're going to have to do a 360. We're very fast. So we're going to do that right here. I mean, this is not an in-depth review, but it's not an in-depth aeroplane. We have navigation instruments, we have navigation radios. You can navigate the way they would have done. The aeroplane itself is visually sufficient. It's unique for certain. And it's the only, as far as I can tell, strategic bomber we have in the sim so far for this or 24. Now it is for 2020, it's on the marketplace currently. It most likely will be available on places like Sim Market, like other aircraft they've made. I don't know what their future in 2024 is, but as it stands, it's actually pretty interesting. And I like these aircraft from a bit of an aviation archaeology perspective, because there is never going to be a time I will ever get to see the viewpoint from a flying B36, or a flying Handley Page Hampton, or a flying the Jetstar, Jetmax, whichever the Navy seaplane jet was they had. They make some aircraft here that I'm never going to see before. Now, the B1 Bone was obviously not, but yeah, small things. Gears coming down, and we're going to turn for final here. It's 180. Notch your flaps in, and give it some trim because it's pulling the nose down here with the gear up. Okay, coming down, sorry. Let's hold our positioning. Okay, we're looking pretty reasonable. I don't know if this could be enough for us to land this monster. I came out here specifically because of today's little special answer in the comments situation. Okay, we're lined up. And she's a big, heavy aircraft. The flight handling feels like I would expect this to feel. It feels incredibly weighty. Oh yeah, another one. I'd love to hate the Heinkel 111 by these guys back again, please. And their Dornier 24. But their Heinkel 111, definitely. Okay. 145-ish, 150 nearly. She's so heavy. This is the heaviest airplane I've ever flown in the sim. In terms of how it feels. It's very sluggish on approach here. She's a monster. Look at this thing. Okay, we're off drift there. It's a good wide runway here, even if it isn't that long. Should be more than enough for us. Okay. 150 is about good where we are. Okay. She's so heavy. Control inputs are very slow, and it's taking a lot of trim to make anything particularly get off the weight of the controls. And I'm giving it too much control because it's so heavy and so sluggish that it's feeling like it's just taking a bit of a bite out of me. Okay, we're looking good here. A little bit of power, just a nudge there. Probably could do this with the jets off, I think, but I'm not. Okay, power, 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 power. Bit of trim. Trimming into the flare here. Power off. Hold the nose. This is a workout. This is actually a physical workout. Bravo, Virtavia, because I've never flown an aircraft that felt this much like a workout for me in the past. That is a monster. Wow. I'd say we've used about 4,000 of the 3,000, 6,000 feet. Whew. That is a heavy airplane. And she's big. Let's get turned around. Again, for airplane archaeology's perspective, I don't need this to be the perfect rendition. It'd be lovely if we got everything to be a perfect rendition. It'd be lovely if this had the best textures in the universe. the best systems design and simulation. I'd love if it had the best of everything possible. That'd be amazing. But I will tell you something now that might be food for thought. I would never pay the $60, $70 it would cost to have a perfect rendition of a Peacemaker, because I wouldn't fly it that often. But to get a taste of flying the Peacemaker for £16, I am more than willing to pay that amount of money, as I'm trying to turn this thing around, and she is a sluggish little pig. Come on. I wish I could actually split my throttles here and do this with one side. There we go. Do it manually. But I would never pay the full price it would cost me to fly this. In fact, there's very few of Virtavia's aircraft that I would pay that for. Now, find the website here for Virtavia. Of their 2020 releases, we have the B36 Peacemaker. I wouldn't. Okay, so we have the short Sterling first. It was reasonable. We had the Seamaster. I would never have bought that otherwise. Yak 52, probably. B1 Lancer, maybe. Skyhawk, yes. Hamden, yeah. The Tiger Cat, maybe. So, in context of the aircraft they've been working on, there's a couple I'd have bought outright if they were full-on simulations. But for the price I get to pay to be an aviation tourist, an aviation archaeologist, to get that very, very least vague impression of how it would have been to fly in the cockpit of a Peacemaker like this, to see one in the air, that's not a terrible ask. Yeah, could be way better. But for the price, I feel like I definitely got my money's worth. I'm always going to be defending Virtavia in that regard, because I think it gives us something you're not going to get elsewhere. They do make aircraft nobody else does, and I'll give them credit for that. It's not like they're putting out a cheap-ass 737 and calling it done. You're never going to get anyone else making these. I'd love them to be better, but it's what they do. I'm going to stop now. Okay, that doesn't want to stop at all, so we'll just cut the engines. There we go. That should be us stopped. And we'll hop outside for a brief second. Okay, here we are outside. Now, yeah, I'd love this if the textures were phenomenal outside, but in the grand scheme, when it's this big, you're never seeing it from that close. And it isn't terrible. Okay, it's not great, but like I said, I'll stop waffling on. I genuinely think for the price, this is well worth picking up, even if you just fly it a handful of times. Take it a couple of runs. Sometimes flight sim's about the experiences. I think I'll take this for a couple of actual flights and see how it goes. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.